Okay, sweet. Who wants to lead the discussion on price?
Mike, how much should I charge to wash this house? He just left the chat. Mike has left the chat.
The reason that Cody says that is because we all get this question all the time, and our answer is always the same. And for the most part, I just kind of like skirt the issue, because it's like, I can't give you a concrete answer, right? There are sources out there that will give you a square foot price matrix and all kinds of national averages. And that's a very good place to start. But it is a national average, which means that is not applicable at all to your business and your location. Your business is not a national average. Your business it's a culmination of all of your costs. It's a culmination of your competitors and what they're doing, what your market will bear, the customers that you're targeting, the services that you're providing. All of these things come into play, but most importantly, it is your costs, right? Your overhead. How much do you pay for rent? How much do you pay for your equipment? How much are you paying for bleach, for gas? All of these things. The inner circle, that's a cost. Every aspect, every dime that you spend in your business needs to be accounted for. And because of that, what works for my business or what works for Aaron's business or Cody's or Justin's isn't going to work for everybody else out there. We've all got different matrices, if you will, of costs. And because of that, there is no firm price where, people ask all the time, how much should I charge per square foot to clean this or to clean that? And there in my opinion, there is not a right way to answer that question. You guys are probably familiar. We built 𝗤𝘂𝗁, and in 𝗤𝘂𝗁, you have the ability to quote by the square foot, by the linear foot or meter. You have the ability to do a flat rate. Like myself, I typically don't really go by a square foot. It's nice to know the square footage, but I can look at something and I can tell you how long it's probably going to take us to get done. And then I can assign what my hourly rate is, throw it up against the wall, and that's going to be my price, right? Most of the time it goes pretty close with, a square foot price, because I've been doing this for a long time and I've got the years of experience to be able to do that. So it's great to have some sort of baseline with those averages. I know a lot of guys will go out and they'll figure out what their competitors are charging for this, that, or the other. And I think that's a good place, because then you're not undercutting the market. Having the ability to do flat rates, having the ability to enter all of your information into our proprietary hourly rate calculator, and then it spits out what your target hourly rate is, what your break-even number is, and then what your hourly rate is based on whatever percentage of margin that you want to achieve. And you can play with that. I don't think there is a cookie-cut answer. I do a hybrid style of quoting, and that's basically how I do it. I utilize raw data, to formulate the numbers that I can then use to assess pricing and go out there and quote intelligently and accurately.
Right. Let's do this too, because there's a couple forms of pricing. Price by square foot. You can price by just a flat rate pricing, and then you can also price by an hourly target. So I would say hourly is probably the beginning of your business, and then you're probably going to move more towards square footage and a flat rate as you get farther into your business. So Cody, you kind of want to talk a little bit about how your pricing might differ from what Mike's would be?
It's basically the same, but what I don't mind having a square foot number, but I want to make sure that my square foot number is backwards math. What do we mean by that? I'm the same way as Mike. I've been doing this, since 2004. I can eyeball it. I can look at it and say, boom, it's X amount. I use this example in my own mind some because my granddad, he ran a very successful logging timber operation. So he would go and what they call cruise a tract of timber, meaning he would go and ride around and look at this piece of land, and just kind of 30 minutes, he could tell the property owner what he would basically buy the timber off of that land. And then he's going to be there for 2 or 3 months, cutting this stuff, hauling loads out a day. But he got that refined down to the point where he knew his metrics. Now, the thing is, if you roll up and look at Sally's house and say it'd be $300, it looks like you just pulled that out of thin air. But you may not really have. You may have just, it looks easy to quote because you've got so many years of quoting it that it seems fluid, and it is fluid. And that's where you really want to be at. What I challenge guys to do is just understand that your first season, it ain't going to be right, but you'll be fine. The good thing is in our business, the margins are so high that it takes care of the learning curve on the pricing. and always be pushed towards high ticket so that you'll know when you stop closing, right? When your close ratio gets to the point where you're nervous, stop right there. And then try it again, bump up against that wall, and you'll find out where your top end of the market for your marketplace is. And that could change. Let's say if you live in a town where, 2 or 3 major industries and 1 or 2 of them goes out of business. Now your market just changed. What if you get a big competitor rolls into your space? Your market just changed. And so this will be something you have to keep your finger on the pulse of, throughout the history of your business. You'll have to always kind of be gauging that scenario and what's going on in the marketplace. But if you get to that point where you're quoting, you're smooth, you're fluid, you know your craft, you've honed it down, then you can do your backwards math and get your square foot number for roof, house, driveway. And it is nice to provide that to the customer. But if you're leaning on that you've got, like Mike said, from a big national average number, it's probably way off for you. So I want to have my square foot number that I have honed down over the years and months. And generally, guys, I'd say by season 2, you pretty well got this down pat. It's not nearly as big of a question mark over your head, but don't worry about it. Whatever you feel like is the right price for your neighborhood is probably wrong, but it's close enough that you'll be profitable. And so always be pushing towards a higher ticket scenario.